Welcome back to Enough Said. In today's episode, we're diving into something that sits right at the heart of what we do here at Enough Health: the 18 physical standards of the human body. Now, when you hear the word standard, don't think of fitness, competition, or athletic benchmark. These aren't elite performance goals. These are the movement abilities your body requires to remain capable, independent, and confident throughout your entire life. Every one of these standards represents a movement pattern that exists in everyday life. Things like carrying groceries, getting off the floor, reaching overhead, climbing stairs, putting on your shoes, or simply maintaining your balance. The reality is that the human body adapts to whatever we repeatedly ask of it. Look, that's good news when you're moving well and frequently, but it's not so good when we stop doing certain movements altogether. When we stop squatting, we lose our squat. When we stop reaching overhead, we lose our overhead range. When we stop getting down on the floor, eventually the floor starts to feel like a foreign place. Over time, those movement patterns can disappear if they're not maintained. That's exactly why these standards were created. They're a way of understanding what your body needs to stay functional. They also provide a simple check-in point at any stage of life. Whether you're 25 or 75, these standards give you a clear picture of where your physical capabilities currently sit. The exciting part is that these standards aren't extreme. In fact, they're remarkably achievable for the human body. The statistics around physical decline can be quite concerning, particularly as we age. We see declines in strength, mobility, balance, coordination, and general physical confidence. But here's the good news. If you maintain these standards, you will preserve the fundamental physical abilities required to live life comfortably and independently. I'll repeat that again. If you can maintain these standards, you'll preserve the fundamental physical abilities required to live life comfortably and independently. Of course, many people will exceed these standards, and that's fantastic. But the goal here isn't to be extraordinary. The goal is to be capable. Today, I'll walk you through all 18 standards, explain the movement involved, the load and the repetitions required, and perhaps most importantly, how each one connects to real life. In future episodes, we'll take a much deeper dive into each standard individually, exploring why it matters and how to improve it. One thing I'd like you to remember as we go through these is that none of the standards are more important than the others. Some people have incredible strength but limited mobility. Others have great flexibility but poor balance. Some can walk all day but struggle to get up from the floor. We all have different strengths and weaknesses. So don't think of this as a pass or fail test. Think of it as a roadmap. Let's dive into the first standard, the carry standard. At first glance, carrying seems incredibly simple. After all, we carry things every day. But carrying is actually one of the most important full body movements we can perform. The standard requires carrying 25% of your body weight in one hand while continuously walking forward for 5 meters and then backwards for 5 meters over a 60-second period. Once that minute is complete, you change hands and repeat the process for another 60 seconds. After 2 minutes of continuous work, you rest for 1 minute and then complete 2 more rounds. It sounds straightforward, but there is a lot happening beneath the surface. Your grip has to be strong enough to hold the load. Your core has to stabilize your spine. Your body has to resist the natural tendency to lean towards the weight. In reality, this movement shows us what true core strength looks like. Not endless crunches, not six-pack exercises, just the ability to stay stable while carrying a load through space. And when you think about it, this is something life asks us to do all the time. Carrying shopping bags, taking the bins out, moving tools around the garden, carrying a basket of laundry, transporting equipment around the house. These tasks don't feel like exercise, but they absolutely require physical capability. That's why carrying earns its place as one of our standards. Next up is the balance standard. Now, balance is one of those things we often take for granted until we start losing it. The standard here is completing 10 marching repetitions on each leg while holding a 10 kilogram load in front of your chest. And each time you lift your knee up, you have to pause for 2 seconds before moving to the next repetition. Simple? Yes. Easy? Not always. Balance requires strength, coordination, body awareness, and the ability to control your center of gravity. Think about how often balance shows up in everyday life. Standing on one leg while putting your pants on, stepping into the shower, walking across uneven ground, and even getting in and out of the bath, or even simply catching yourself when you stumble. All of those situations require balance. The goal here isn't to become a gymnast. It's to simply maintain enough balance to move through life with confidence. If you can control your body while standing on one leg under load, you're giving yourself a very solid foundation for everyday life. The landing standard is all about keeping power, coordination, and reaction time alive. The requirement for this standard is a 2-foot jump forward, landing safely and under control past 30 centimeters in front of where you started. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you jumped? For many adults, it may have been years. The problem is that the body adapts to what we do regularly. If we stop jumping, eventually we lose the ability to jump. More importantly, we lose the ability to land. Landing safely requires coordination, balance, strength, and the ability to absorb force. These qualities become incredibly important if you trip, stumble, slip, or need to react quickly. The ability to jump and land isn't just for sport. It's about maintaining power, reaction time, and confidence in your movement. The human body was designed to be powerful, and this standard helps us hold on to some of that power. And you can have that power throughout your whole life. The floor standard might be one of the most important standards of all. Why? Because for many people, the floor slowly disappears from their life. We sit in chairs, we sleep in beds, we drive in cars. Before long, getting down to the ground feels difficult, and getting back up feels even harder. The requirement for this standard is 5 Turkish get-ups on each side. Now, the Turkish get-up is a fantastic movement because it teaches you how to safely lower yourself to the floor and, more importantly, get back up again while using coordination, mobility, strength, and body awareness. Think about all the experiences that happen at ground level. Playing with children and grandchildren. Spending time with your favorite pets on the ground. Gardening, some housework, even something as simple as lying on the ground and watching the clouds or looking up at the stars. These are wonderful parts of life that can slowly disappear when the floor becomes inaccessible. The Turkish get-up also teaches something really valuable. How to get yourself up using one arm and one leg if you were ever injured or unable to use one side fully. Now, that skill could become incredibly important. This standard isn't about fitness, it's about maintaining access to an entire layer of life. The core standard is a 30-second side plank performed on each side. Now, when most people hear core, they immediately think abs. But the side plank trains something a little different. It targets the muscles running from your armpit all the way down through your hip and into the outside of your leg. Now, these muscles are responsible for providing lateral stability and helping protect your spine. Think about carrying a child on one hip, holding a basket of laundry, walking a dog and suddenly the pup pulls sideways, or even opening a heavy door. And of course, carrying suitcases. Every one of these tasks require side-to-side stability. A strong side plank helps build that capacity and contributes to overall spinal health and resilience. Moving on to the lifting standard. Now, the lifting standard involves performing 5 good mornings through a full range of motion with 10 kilograms either held on your chest or on your back. This movement teaches the hip hinge. And honestly, learning how to hinge correctly might be one of the most valuable movement skills you'll ever develop. A proper hinge allows the hips to do the work while reducing unnecessary stress on the lower back. Think about how often you bend forward during the day. Making the bed, loading the dishwasher, picking up a box from the ground, working in the garden, or even loading shopping into the car. These are all hip hinge activities. And unfortunately, many people never learn how to bend properly, which often contributes to back discomfort. The good morning teaches your body how to move efficiently, confidently, and safely whenever life requires you to bend and lift. Now, the bending standard is a bit different and it requires 5 Jefferson curls. Now, the purpose of this one is simple: maintaining a full forward folding ability through the spine and the hamstrings. Can you touch your toes comfortably? Many people can't. This is why the Jefferson curl is great, because it gradually restores the body's ability to bend forward under control at the spine. Think about tying your shoelaces, picking up a pen off the floor, reaching for an item underneath a chair, even putting on your socks when you flex over and bend your spine. Look, these are incredibly normal activities, yet they require flexibility and strength through the entire posterior chain, everything behind you. One of my favorite things about this standard is that once your body learns how to fold and bend well, you can stop thinking about it. Life simply feels easier. And that's really what all of these standards are about. Training and teaching movement into your body so it becomes effortless in your life. Next up is a single leg standard, and that is 5 full range split squats on each leg, just with your body weight. Now, this movement develops mobility in the hips, knees, and ankles while building leg strength and balance. Obviously, leg strength shows up everywhere in daily life. Think about going upstairs, walking up a hill, standing from a kneeling position, or simply getting up from the couch or a chair. Every step we take is essentially a single leg exercise. The split squat ensures that each leg is independently strong, stable, and mobile enough so that it can support us throughout life. The lateral standard is 5 Cossack squats on each side. This is one of my favorite movements because it restores our ability to move sideways. Most people move forwards and backwards all day. Very few move laterally, sideways. So over time, the hips begin to tighten, the groin muscles get weaker, and the side-to-side mobility decreases. Yet life still demands it. Getting in and out of the car, reaching down sideways to the floor, playing sports, working in the garden, and shifting your weight while you're squatting down low doing the weeding. The Cossack squat keeps the hips mobile, the knees healthy, and the ankles capable. This is one of the best exercises for preserving freedom of movement. Moving on to the hamstring standard. This one requires 10 elephant walks per side. Now, this movement actively lengthens the hamstrings while teaching the body to control the position. As one knee straightens, the hamstring lengthens. As the quadriceps, so the thigh muscles, engage, the body has to learn to create flexibility through active movement. So when the hamstrings have adequate length, bending becomes easier. The lower back experiences less strain, and movement simply feels freer. So this standard helps maintain the flexibility and the function needed in everyday life. Moving on to the hip standard, this requires 5 Copenhagen lifts on each side. Now this exercise focuses on your adductors, which are the muscles on the inside of your thigh. Now these muscles are often neglected despite playing a critical role in your hip health, stability, and movement. Strong and mobile adductors support squatting down, walking, changing directions, rolling over in bed, and maintaining healthy hip function. Many hip and lower back issues can come from weaknesses in this area. But the Copenhagen lift builds strength while improving your mobility and helps keep the hips feel strong and capable. Moving on to the lower leg standard. This one is 15 single leg calf raises performed on a slant board. Now this develops strength through all the calves while improving your ankle mobility and foot function. Every step we take relies on our lower legs. Walking, running, standing, climbing stairs, simply maintaining balance. The feet and our ankles are the connection to the ground. When they're strong and mobile, everything above them tends to function better as well. Moving to the overhead standard. This requires a single arm shoulder press using 5 kilograms for 10 repetitions through a full range of motion. So notice I said full range of motion. That's the important part. Many people strengthen their shoulders without ever taking them through a full range. And this is what they actually need in life. Being able to comfortably reach overhead is incredibly useful. Placing luggage in an overhead compartment, changing a light bulb, painting at home, reaching high up into cupboards, or even if you're working overhead all the time. When we stop moving our shoulders fully, problems can develop over time. So maintaining overhead mobility and strength keeps the shoulders healthy and functional. The shoulder standard involves 10 power raises with 5 kilograms on each side. Now this movement targets the rotator cuff and the shoulder stabilizers. These smaller muscles play a huge role in shoulder health. Often, I'm sure you know someone who has had surgery on their rotator cuff, the important shoulder stabilizers weaken and tear. And this happens when they don't receive any load. With life happening in front of us, the front of the shoulder can become overworked without the support of the inactive muscles at the back of the shoulder. So these muscles are involved every time when you reach behind you, put on a jacket, lift a backpack and put it on, or move your arm through these different positions. So keeping these muscles capable helps maintain both shoulder stability and long-term shoulder function. Next up, the pushing standard. This involves 5 full range push-ups, not half push-ups, full range push-ups. Now, a healthy push-up involves movement of the shoulder blades as well as the arms. The shoulder blades should glide back during the descent towards the floor, and then they should move forward at the end of the push. So this keeps the shoulders functioning as they were designed to. Daily life asks us to push things regularly. Things like prams, trolleys, lawnmowers, doors, garden equipment. The push-up builds the strength and the endurance required for these everyday pushing tasks. The push-up also helps involve your driving endurance. Moving to the pulling standard. This one requires one body weight pull-up. Now, culturally, we've somehow turned a pull-up into an elite achievement. But from a human movement perspective, one pull-up is a very reasonable standard. It represents healthy pulling strength, grip strength, upper body control, and overall shoulder health. So whether you're climbing out of a pool, pulling yourself up on something like a ladder, or simply balancing out all that pushing activities that happen in life, pulling strength matters. And just doing one pull-up provides excellent balance to the push-up standard, and it really contributes to long-term shoulder health. Now, next is the reaching standard. We want to do 10 pullovers with a 5 kilogram load. Now, this standard's on focusing your ability to move your arms overhead in a different pattern from pressing. So things like when you're getting dressed, hanging washing out, reaching into cupboards, all of these rely on healthy shoulder and upper body mobility. So the pullover really helps maintain that movement so your upper body remains functional and unrestricted. Finally, we come to the neck. The neck has 4 separate standards: flexion, extension, lateral flexion, and retraction. Flexion, extension, and lateral flexion require 10 repetitions with 2.5 kilograms. Retraction requires a 10-second hold with 2.5 kilograms. So most people spending time stretching their neck when it feels tight, but very few people actually strengthen it. The neck is made up of muscles like every other part of the body. It needs movement, it needs strength, and it needs range of motion to stay healthy. These standards help support activities like driving, reading, your office work, and maintaining a good posture. A strong neck tends to be a comfortable neck, and maintaining strength in all 4 directions helps preserve long-term neck health and function. And there you have it, the 18 physical standards that together create a capable human body. Now, when you look at them individually, none of them are particularly extraordinary. They're not world records. They're not elite athletic achievements. They're simply the movement abilities that allow you to live life comfortably, independently, and confidently. The ability to carry something, the ability to get up from the floor, the ability to balance on one leg when needed, the ability to reach overhead, climb stairs, bend down, push, pull, and move your body the way it was designed to move. And that's really the point of all this, capability. Because capability gives you options. It gives you physical freedom. It allows you to say yes to the things you want to do instead of wondering whether your body will let you do them. Whether that's playing with your children and grandchildren, picking up your pets and cuddling them, traveling them, gardening, hiking, renovating around the house, or simply getting through everyday life without hesitation or fear. The reality is that physical decline doesn't usually happen overnight. It happens slowly. When we stop using certain movement patterns, our body adapts. And before we know it, the things we once did without thinking start to feel difficult. But here's the part that gives me and you a lot of hope. The body is incredibly adaptable. Just as it can lose abilities, it can regain them. When you expose your body to movement, load, balance, mobility, and strength, it responds, it learns, it improves. And that's exactly what these standards are designed to do. Give you a clear picture of what your body needs and a pathway towards maintaining those abilities for life. And remember, if you listened to some of these standards today and thought, I'm nowhere near that, that's okay. This isn't a pass or fail test. This is not about judgment. It's simply information that you deserve. It's understanding where you are today and recognizing what's possible moving forward. The goal is being enough. Enough strength, enough mobility, enough balance, enough capability to enjoy your life, to do the things that matter to you. If you're thinking, okay, that all sounds great, but what is a Cossack squat? How do I actually do a Jefferson curl? Well, head to enough.health/standards where you'll be able to choose what standard you want to explore more on. And in there is a video on how to do the required movement. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It would mean the absolute world to me if you could hit that subscribe button and share this with just one person you think could benefit from guidance for their physical health. Keep moving, keep learning, and remember, your body is with you for life. It's absolutely worth investing in. Until next time, that's enough said.